Legislation, H.R. 8914, the University Accountability Act, to mark up today. Since Hamas's attack on Israel last October, we have sadly seen cases of anti-Semitism on college campuses around the country rise to extraordinary levels, horrific levels. According to Hillel International, there have been over 1,800 reported anti-Semitic incidents on college campuses since October 7th. And that is a 700% increase compared to the prior year. On November 15th of last year, this committee was the first to hold a hearing on anti-Semitism on college campuses, with follow-up hearing last month. We learned nothing has been done by these colleges and universities to stop the anti-Semitic activities on their campuses. A few examples of anti-Semitic threats and violence occurring on college campuses in my state of New York. On October 16th, students at New York University were seen tearing down posters of Israeli hostages, and other students have reported hearing chants of "death to Jews" and "death to anybody supporting Israel." On October 25th, more than 10 Jewish students at the Cooper Union were forced to shelter in a library and barricade the doors shut as pro-Palestinian demonstrators banged on the glass walls of the building. On October 29th, anti-Semitic threats of violence targeting Jewish students at Cornell University were made, calling for the shooting of Jewish students. An Israeli student at Columbia University was assaulted after confronting a woman for taking down posters with the names and photos of Israelis that Hamas took as hostages. A Cornell University professor said that the initial Hamas invasion was exhilarating, quote, energizing. At Columbia University, Jewish students and advocates claimed the university emboldened hate by not condemning Hamas in the wake of the October 7th attacks, and have criticized what they call a failure by the university to support students facing anti-Semitism, resulting in Jewish and Israeli students expressing fear on campus. In April, I met some of these students with Speaker Johnson and several of our colleagues. They told us about swastikas that were painted across the campus, horrific names that they were being called, that some were being assaulted. And on April 22nd, students at Columbia University were forced to take classes online after anti-Israel protests, which included the chanting of anti-Semitic phrases and calling for harm to Jewish students, rocked the university. A Columbia professor, Shai Davidai, who testified before us last month, was barred from campus when he became critical of the administration's response to the widespread anti-Semitism on campus. And then yesterday, after we noticed this meeting, and we said we were going to take action, taking up this piece of legislation, Columbia University placed 3 administrators on leave indefinitely after they sent disturbing text messages containing anti-Semitic tropes during a forum about Jewish issues. This represents only a small fraction of the reported anti-Semitic incidents on university campuses, and it highlights the inaction and complicity of university administrators. My legislation levies a financial penalty against schools that have a civil judgment entered against them by a federal court for violating a student's civil rights under Title VI of the Civil Rights Act. Colleges and universities that meet the penalty criteria should be required to pay a fine of either 5% of the school's aggregate administrative compensation, as reported on the school's Form 990, or $100,000, whichever is greater. After 3 civil rights violations, the IRS would be automatically required to review the college or university's tax-exempt status for possible revocation. It's time that these universities learn that their inaction has consequences. They have a responsibility to keep their students safe, and I look forward to this legislation being favorably reported out of committee today. I yield back.